Have you ever scored an amazing deal on Temu and thought, wow, how can they sell this so cheap? Temu has taken the e-commerce world by storm with its incredibly low prices on everything from hairpins to pet toys. It's like a treasure hunt where you can find almost anything for a fraction of the cost you'd pay elsewhere. But here's the thing, these unbeatable prices come with a cost that's not immediately visible to us as consumers. Just recently, there were major protests by suppliers in China who provide these products to Temu. These suppliers are saying that Temu's business practices are pushing them to the brink of bankruptcy. They are facing hefty penalties for issues like product returns and customer complaints, and many are finding it impossible to stay afloat. Imagine running a small factory, barely making ends meet, and suddenly you're hit with massive fines that wipe out your profits. That's the reality for many of these suppliers. And it's not just about money, it's about livelihoods, families, and the ripple effects on local communities. In this video, we'll explore the real cost behind Temu's low prices, the struggles of the suppliers who are paying the price, and what this means for the future of e-commerce. We'll also touch on the broader issues faced by many Chinese brands, how the relentless pursuit of low prices often leads to compromises in quality and sustainability. So let's break down how Temu's business model works and why it's causing so much trouble for their suppliers. Temu's strategy is pretty straightforward. They want to attract as many customers as possible by offering extremely low prices. It's the kind of pricing that makes you think you've hit the jackpot every time you shop there. Imagine buying a stylish pair of earrings for less than a cup of coffee. That's the kind of deals we're talking about here. But how do they manage to keep prices so low? Well, that's where things get a bit complicated. Temu enforces very strict quality controls on their suppliers. If a customer complains about a product or if something doesn't meet their standards, they impose hefty penalties on the suppliers. For instance, if you bought a sweater that turned out to be the wrong size or had a minor defect, Temu might hit the supplier with a fine that's several times the cost of the sweater itself. This might sound like a good way to ensure high quality, but for suppliers, it can be devastating. To make things even tougher, Temu has a very generous refund policy for customers. In some cases, buyers can get a refund without even having to return the item. This is great for us as consumers. No hassle, just money back in your pocket. But guess who bears the brunt of this policy? That's right, the suppliers. They end up losing money not just on the product, but also paying fines and refunds, making it a double whammy. Another crucial aspect of Temu's business model is their financial practices. Temu holds back a portion of the payments owed to suppliers as a reserve against any potential disputes or after-sales issues. So, even if a supplier successfully sells their products, they don't get the full payment immediately. Instead, a chunk of their earnings is held back, creating a cash flow problem. Imagine working hard and delivering your products, only to find out that a big part of your payment is being withheld. It's like having a part of your salary put on hold indefinitely. Now, to give you a sense of Temu's scale and growth, let's look at some numbers. Temu has seen a meteoric rise, reaching millions of users across more than 70 countries in just a couple of years. This kind of rapid growth is impressive and highlights their global reach. But as they expand, the pressure on their suppliers also increases, with more orders, more potential complaints, and more penalties. In summary, Temu's business model is all about offering rock-bottom prices and ensuring customer satisfaction. But this comes at a significant cost to their suppliers. The strict penalties, generous refund policies, and financial holdbacks create a challenging environment for those supplying the products we all love to buy at such low prices. It's a system that's built to benefit the consumer, but it's the suppliers who end up paying the price. Now, let's talk about the recent protests and the huge challenges suppliers are facing because of Temu's business practices. Imagine this. You're running a small factory in Guangzhou, producing goods for Temu, and suddenly, you're hit with penalties that leave you scrambling to keep your business afloat. This isn't just a hypothetical situation. It's exactly what's happening to many suppliers right now. In Guangzhou, a large group of these suppliers recently stormed one of Temu's affiliate offices. They were demanding fair treatment and resolution of their issues. It was quite a scene, with scores of angry merchants, whistles blowing, and even the police showing up to keep things under control. This protest wasn't an isolated incident. It's part of a larger wave of economic-related demonstrations happening in China. The country is dealing with slow economic growth and a downturn in real estate, which makes things even tougher for small business owners. So, what exactly are the suppliers protesting about? Well, their grievances are pretty serious. First off, they're dealing with what they consider unfair penalties. Temu has been imposing fines on them for after-sales issues like customer complaints or product quality problems. These fines can be so steep that they wipe out the supplier's profits, leaving them in debt. One of the biggest issues the suppliers are facing is a lack of transparency. Many of them have complained that they receive penalties without any clear explanation or evidence. For example, if Temu decides that a batch of products doesn't meet their standards, they impose a fine but often don't provide any documentation to support their decision. This leaves the suppliers in a very difficult position. They're being penalized but don't have the information they need to understand why or to contest the fines. Let me share a specific story to illustrate this. Xiang Shihua, a garment factory owner in Guangzhou, is one of the many suppliers who joined the recent protest. Xiang started supplying Temu late last year, hoping to expand his business. But instead of growth, he faced disaster. Since he began working with Temu, he's lost $41,000. That's a huge amount for a small business. He had to lay off all his workers and has racked up tens of thousands of dollars in debt. Despite all this, he's still being fined every day by Temu, and he's unable to recoup the money that Temu is holding back as a reserve against potential disputes. Xiang isn't alone in this struggle. Hundreds of other suppliers are in the same boat. They've formed online chat groups to support each other and discuss solutions. They've staged smaller protests at other Temu affiliate offices and even at local government buildings, but so far, they haven't found a clear resolution. During one protest in July, local police in Guangzhou took down names and complaints, promising to respond within a week. But when no response came, these desperate suppliers had no choice but to take more drastic measures, traveling from all over the country to demand justice. Xiang's story is a stark reminder of the human cost behind Temu's low prices. These are real people, with families and employees depending on them, who are being crushed under the weight of these penalties and financial holdbacks. As consumers, it's easy to get excited about getting a great deal, but it's important to remember the bigger picture and the impact on those who make these products possible. In this section, we've covered the details of the Guangzhou protests, the main grievances of the suppliers, and shared specific stories like Xiang's to highlight the severe challenges they're facing. These protests and the issues raised by the suppliers paint a clear picture of the immense pressure and financial difficulties they're under, thanks to the practices of Temu. Now that we've looked at how Temu operates and the struggles their suppliers are facing, the big question is Temu's business model sustainable in the long run? Let's break this down. First, let's talk about short-term versus long-term viability. In the short term, Temu's strategy seems to be working great for customers. You get incredibly low prices and generous refund policies, which makes shopping on Temu really appealing. It's no wonder they've attracted millions of users worldwide. But this customer satisfaction comes at a heavy cost to the suppliers. They're dealing with high penalties and financial uncertainty, which raises a critical point. Can Temu keep this up without driving their suppliers out of business? Think about it like a car running on cheap fuel. It might save you money now, but if it damages the engine over time, you'll end up paying a lot more in repairs or even having to buy a new car. Similarly, if Temu keeps squeezing their suppliers too hard, they might lose them altogether. Without suppliers, Temu can't offer the variety and prices that attract customers in the first place. Next, consider the economic context. China is experiencing sluggish economic growth and a real estate downturn. This broader economic environment makes it even harder for small suppliers to survive under Temu's tough conditions. When the economy is struggling, businesses need more support, not less. If suppliers are already on thin margins, adding penalties and withheld payments can be the final straw that pushes them into bankruptcy. There are significant risks associated with Temu's current model. If they continue to lose suppliers, the variety of products they offer could diminish. This reduced variety would make Temu less attractive to shoppers, who might then turn to competitors like Amazon or Shine. Additionally, constant pressure on suppliers to cut costs can lead to quality issues. If customers start receiving poor quality products, Temu's reputation could suffer, leading to a decline in user trust and loyalty. Experts are also weighing in on this issue. Business analysts point out that while Temu's aggressive growth strategy has driven rapid expansion, it's not sustainable if it comes at the expense of supplier viability. One analyst noted, a business model that heavily penalizes its supply chain can lead to short-term gains but will struggle with long-term sustainability. Suppliers are the backbone of any retail platform. Without them, the platform cannot function effectively. To summarize, Temu's business model faces significant sustainability challenges. The short-term benefits to customers are clear, but the long-term viability of this approach is questionable. The economic pressures in China only add to the difficulties suppliers face, and the potential risks of losing suppliers, reduced product variety, and quality issues are very real. For Temu to remain successful, they will need to find a better balance between keeping customers happy and ensuring their suppliers can survive and thrive. Otherwise, the very foundation of their business could be at risk. Now let's widen our view a bit and look at the bigger picture. Temu isn't the only Chinese brand facing these kinds of issues. Many Chinese companies have built their business models around offering super low prices. This strategy definitely attracts customers, but it also comes with some serious trade-offs. First, let's talk about the focus on low prices. Brands like Shine are well known for their incredibly cheap clothing. You can find trendy outfits for just a few dollars, which is fantastic for shoppers on a budget. However, this race to the bottom on prices often means corners are cut in other areas. Quality can suffer, leading to products that don't last long or don't meet customer expectations. It's a bit like buying a cheap umbrella that breaks the first time it rains. Sure, you saved money initially, but now you're left without an umbrella when you really need it. Next, there's the issue of short-term gains versus long-term sustainability. Companies focusing solely on low prices may see quick profits and rapid growth, but this can be at the expense of long-term success. For instance, if customers repeatedly have bad experiences with poor quality products, they may eventually stop buying from that brand altogether. In the long run, this can damage the brand's reputation and make it harder to attract and retain customers. It's like building a house on a shaky foundation. It might look fine for a while, but eventually, it's going to start showing cracks. Let's look at some real-life examples. Shine, another giant in the fast fashion industry, has faced significant criticism for its business practices. They've been accused of producing low-quality garments and not paying enough attention to sustainability or workers' rights. These criticisms have led to growing concerns about their long-term viability and ethical standards. Another example is Xiaomi, a tech company known for its affordable smartphones and gadgets. While Xiaomi has enjoyed tremendous success, they've also had to address issues related to product quality and customer service. Over time, these factors can impact how consumers view the brand and its products. So, what does all this mean for the future of Chinese brands like Temu, Shine, and Xiaomi? The key takeaway is that focusing solely on low prices can be a double-edged sword. While it helps attract customers initially, it can also lead to problems with quality, customer satisfaction, and long-term brand reputation. For these companies to thrive in the long run, they'll need to find a better balance between offering competitive prices and ensuring high quality and sustainability. In this section, we've covered the common business practices among Chinese brands, the risks of focusing too much on low prices, and real-life examples like Shine and Xiaomi that illustrate these challenges. By understanding these broader issues, we can better appreciate the complexities and potential pitfalls of Temu's business model and the wider market landscape they operate in. So, to wrap things up, Temu's rapid rise in the e-commerce world has certainly been impressive, but it comes with some significant challenges. We've seen how their business model relies heavily on extremely low prices, strict penalties for suppliers, and generous refund policies. While these strategies have helped attract millions of customers, they've also created serious problems for the suppliers who keep the platform running. The recent protests by suppliers in China have shone a light on these unsustainable practices and the financial hardships they're causing. If Temu continues down this path, it could threaten the very foundation of their business. As consumers, it's easy to get excited about finding great deals, but it's important to think about the bigger picture. What are the hidden costs behind those low prices? Who is paying the price for our bargains? It's crucial to consider the sustainability and ethical implications of our purchasing choices. By being more aware and making informed decisions, we can help encourage better business practices and support a more sustainable and fair marketplace.